Hello everybody and welcome to another EU5 country review from the most competitive EU5 multiplayer group out there right now. By that I mean that the people who play in this game take it way too seriously and use every single trick, tip, and exploit to get an advantage on their neighbors, which we will be talking about so you can hopefully learn from them and or make fun of their mistakes. As I did mention in the last video, there are only two things that we deem too exploitive that gave people too much of an edge for very little actual effort, and those were selling land to the AI as well as seizing land from the AI. We have since made the AI not buy land for any money. I think you can sell it for like 1 or 5 gold or something like that. And seizing land from your vassals actually gives them negative 100 loyalty. So it's still technically possible, but comes with a very significant penalty to offset just how broken that was. Now, we did play this game on the 1.0.7 patch. I'm reviewing this on the 1.0.8 beta. It will go live this week, hopefully. They have said it will go live this week, and we will be using it. In the future, we will probably try to keep up to date with the patches, but if some of them change way too much, we'll obviously revert down to previous patches. But for now, a lot of these patches are fixing a lot of things that we need actually fixed to continue to play and enjoy the game. So that's the way it's going. Okay, I'm going to try to keep a smile and keep this funny because I will be making fun of a lot of your countries. If you are playing this game, don't take it too seriously. I'm not trying to just be mean. I'm trying to be, let's call it whimsical. We're being whimsical with it, right? I do have a VOD that I might review, or not review, edit down and to try to get it to like an hour length. Maybe I'll post that up tomorrow. If this continues to get views, at least decent views, we'll make more videos like this. So if you do like these sorts of videos, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to please leave a comment down below. That helps me out immensely and also helps me understand what to do better. Now, we are in 1409. We're going a bit slow. We're going to try to implement some things to get that game speed up. So hopefully in the next video we do, we'll be like 1440 or later, but we'll see. For now, we've only gone 25 years in the last session. Despite that, a lot happened. So far with this entire game, the Timurid Empire stomped in from the east, and then unfortunately they stopped being a horde, which meant all their tribal manpower buildings died, and they had to stop stomping in because they literally had no manpower. Oops. Two Sicilies broke the schism, which we'll talk about in a second, took over Rome, and has generally been the dominant power in the Mediterranean by far. He exerted his control over Greece, and he is on crusade, tagging along the other Italians with him to destroy the Africans. The Hausa Empire has destroyed Mali, feasted on the corpse of Ethiopia, and generally taken over like 2/3 of Africa. He did vassalize Morocco as well as Tunis, and is now, after vassalizing them, he did pledge. He said, look, if you guys swear loyalty to me, I'll defend you against the Italians, which he is. We'll talk about that much later because there's funny things going on there. France destroyed England, Castile destroyed Aragon. There was an alliance. It was Aragon, Tunis, Morocco, and Two Sicilies. Two Sicilies actually wanted to kill Tunis, so he was an ally, but he only kind of said he was an ally. He was not much of an actual ally. Portugal sat there and watched. I think he probably cheered it on. England retreated to his island and has just been building up, and Eastern Europe is really abusing how broken vassals were on this patch. Oh, God. So let's start talking about it. We're going to go in order. We're going to do Italy, Western Europe, Central Europe, North Africa, Northern Europe, Germany, Eastern Europe, and then we'll go down to the Middle East. I'm not going to go too much over Asia. There are some Asian players, as you can imagine, but they're a bit boring, and a lot of them called in sick that day, let's say. And by that, I mean they realized playing in Asia was boring, and a lot of them turned into no-shows, which is not, you know, people don't like no-shows. People would prefer that no-shows don't no-show, but yeah. Okay. So let's start talking about Two Sicilies then. Now, what Two Sicilies did to break the Western Schism, which has really screwed up the game in its entirety, is they killed Rome. And they realized, they looked through the game code and they found out that if they controlled more cardinals than France, that the Western Schism becomes between to Sicilies and Rome instead of France and Rome. Despite that, all the events think that France is the one opposing the Pope, which has broken a lot of things in the game. We're only halfway through the Western Schism in 1409 because Naples also refuses to get anyone on his side. The Pope AI has also broken down and refused to get anybody on his side, and he is getting a lot of money from the tithes now. This is pretty broken, and I mean, obviously we're going to have to mod this out in future games. If the devs don't fix this, we'll have to fix this. For now, we're letting it run because we're kind of doing a vanilla game, but do note that, like, in the future, if I do more of these videos in future campaigns, it'll probably end up being heavily modified for balance because stuff like this gets a bit silly. Now, he has used this unlimited Pope gold to go on crusade against North Africa, fielding over 10,000 regulars and enormous amounts of army levies, 28,000 in fact. Now, he tried to invade Tunis, died to malaria, came back again, died to malaria, and then he kept coming back in that second war. The first war, he died to malaria and got force-pieced out. The second war, he brute forced through there because the Northern Africans were fighting Hausa, and they couldn't fight Hausa and Naples. And unfortunately, Naples managed to get that beachhead. That has turned into a complete disaster, as now the Neapolitan army has managed to get completely vaccinated, unfortunately, against the malaria, and now is immune to the malaria, which means the North Africans basically just die for free. I'm not sure why you can vaccinate your troops in the 1400s, but what vaccination effectively means, you sit your armies in the malaria land and they die to malaria and slowly build up immunity, and they just keep dying and dying and dying, and you keep building up immunity, and then they become immune to malaria. Now, as you are seeing in this graph here, we did have some game bugs, so you're gonna have to ignore everything here. There was a huge bug with the diseases in the patch upgrade to the 1.0.7 patch. We did fix that, so just look at this part here. You can see right here, this little dip here, this is where he kept killing his troops to make them immune to malaria, but he did, and now they're immune to malaria. And now he's invading in with the entire army of Italy. Genoa, Tuscany, and two Sicilies are in here, and they are crushing. Two Sicilies themselves, if we did exclude the Pope payments, would actually not be running a profit right now. I don't think they're managing their money as well as they should be. There is something to be said. They are paying heavy army maintenance. Now, that is because they have to buy, oh god, I have to go through so many menus right here. That is because the goods aren't super cheap in Tunis. They're a little bit more expensive, not too expensive, but shockingly, the Tunisians don't much like their troops, and they are, I believe, embargoing them out, which is dramatically raising their prices. The army is going up in price, but I mean, realistically, it doesn't matter. He has unlimited Pope gold. It's a bit silly. So far as the actual land himself, we can look at this proximity. He's got good naval control, good control everywhere. He is expanding into Greece. Now, that is because he's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then from 6, it's 7, 8, 8, 8, or, and you can see right here, 7, 8, 8. So all of this stuff is actually pretty close, and he can maintain good control over that. The next subject he's integrating is actually Achaia. Now, in the 8 patch, they are implementing a new change to try to curb the abusive strategies going on here with vassals. Vassals will now reduce your centralization unless they revert that before the patch goes live. But for now, they do reduce your centralization to vassals. A lot of people seem to think colonies reduce it, but they don't. A lot of people are complaining that colonies will reduce your centralization and make, like, Great Britain decentralized. Like, Great Britain that controlled India, they were like, oh, but look, it would be decentralized. No, it wouldn't be, because colonies don't decentralize you, people. It's like so many people are complaining about the game, but they don't actually understand how it works. So far as sliders, he's pretty centralized, and it can continue to be centralized so long as he is plus 0.01. He will continue to push up centralization. which is, sometimes it feels a bit odd that there's no decay, but, I guess it makes good gameplay to push above it, right? At any rate, he's going to be totally fine in centralization, and as he continues to annex his subjects, he'll be fine. His only real problem, I would say, is that he's got a lot of Greek subjects to integrate. And then, of course, we got the stuff going on over here. We should call this the Balkans beatdown session, because there was a big beatdown in the Balkans, but it ended very, very inconclusively. Tunis is actually sitting on a lot of gold, likely because he's got that unlimited Pope gold. Now, Tuscany's an interesting nation here. What the Tuscan player did is he used a lot of the Tuscan advances. We've got the Fiorino d'Oro that gives you tax efficiency and expected cost of court reduction. That's a pretty good one, because that reduces the tax on your nation and it increases your tax efficiency. Now, he comboed that by, in the Florence disaster, he went ahead and just grabbed Peasant Republic. Peasant Republic does push you decentralized, which isn't great. It does give your peasants some power, which isn't great. Annoys your nobles a little bit, not great. But the advantages are 10 production efficiency, and it's a free reform, and you get your commoners in parliament, and you reduce your nobles' power. You do decentralize a little bit, and then you get free subjects. So that's just a huge buff. Now, some people want that nerfed because it's like obviously overpowered, but like the thing is, it's overpowered because it's on Tuscany. But it's on Tuscany, so therefore it's not overpowered. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's not overpowered because it's on Tuscany. It's the opposite of what I said earlier. Tuscany is not particularly a strong nation. The fact that they can get a 40% tax efficiency by stacking bonuses, then a production efficiency, that's all they have going for them. Each Florentine population is like 1.5 pops of other people, and that's really all they have going. So nerfing Peasant Republic would hurt Florence a lot. I would say, realistic, if we're speaking from multiplayer, I don't think they're even viable in multiplayer anyway. So this guy's doing what he can. Now, of course, since the last time we talked about a video, Florence did make their own market. They managed to do that by finally getting enough food from getting Pondicherra to 430 food. How did he do that? We stacked irrigation, we stacked farming villages, and as I talk about in all my videos, that means that they have a crap load of people working with wheat, giving them a huge food advantage. Farm gives them food, sheep farms gives them food, and then that all funnels through that massive food productivity multiplier. 430 food. In fact, what he could even do here is get 4 more sheep farms to get even more sheep. And then that also gives him wool. So actually, that's kind of crazy good. Yeah, Pondicherra is like, oh, that's a pretty good one right there. Now, it's not just Pondicherra feeding his entire country, or else he'd probably be buying more food. We also have over here the Grassato, as well as some others strewn throughout. So he set up a pretty good food economy for himself so far as cities are concerned. He does have his starting cities. He doesn't seem to have set up some extra cities. He's just sitting on his, starting cities for now. But we'll probably see some of these getting upgraded later on. For now, he doesn't have that many people. But what we are doing with these people is very, very, very strong. Genoa made mistakes. Big mistakes. And his economy did not grow nearly as much as he wanted it to. Florence is over here at 529 tax base. Naples is at 633. Genoa is at 455. Now, why is that? What mistake did we make here? Okay. Genoa tried to take only build your capital a little bit too far. Of his available 165 building levels, he used 217. Meaning he's paying 259% for each building. Even with all his building cost multipliers, that's a lot of money being wasted. A lot. Now, he did manage to get Genoa to be super strong, but once he gets to building upgrades in age 3, he's going to have to pay that same penalty for each of them. At some point, he's going to have to delete a lot of these buildings. I suspect we're going to see a lot of these lower tier buildings getting removed to clear up space because he can't be replacing all his tool guilds with the tier 2 tool guild. He can't replace all his cloth with the tier 2 cloth, and he definitely can't replace all those books with the tier 2 books if he's paying 100% additional for every of them. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's not good at all. Other than that, he very much did not build up his countryside as well. This is going to be a recurring problem. I'm going to talk about this a lot. There are people who only want to build on the provinces that are already good and do not want to build on the provinces that aren't good. There are huge diminishing returns once you kind of reach that zenith of how good a location can be. Once you start going above that, you are paying huge costs. Getting these RGOs on the outside to max, building all these up, getting all this money is probably your biggest source. I'll talk about how I did that in Austria in a second. And he just didn't build up these RGOs over here. I question if they even have roads to them. They don't even have roads to them. Oh no, we don't have a road over here. We have lumber only at 3 of 9. Oh, it's just money. You just, there's money on the ground. Pick it up. Now, the last problem we're going to talk about on Genoa over here, and this is a big one. This isn't a city despite being 70,000 pops. This isn't a city despite being 31,000 pops. And as we look around over here, we have lots like this could get migration to it for 26,000 pops into a city. This could be into a city with 36,000. This could get some migration to 30,000 and become a city. Instead, he's migrating even more people to Genoa. So, okay, we need to diversify our bonds here a little bit, not put everything into one bag. Now, of course, he is a merchant republic, so he cannot integrate land, which is a bit rough. I think the devs might want to reduce the penalty on that speed of integration. That one's a bit rough. Republics aren't really strong right now. I know merchant republic is still strong, but that one is a bit rough. Okay, so, what we got here then is on values. He's a little bit innovative, could be better, pretty solid on centralization, and I do believe he's going to continue to centralize despite the vassals, so that's going totally fine for him. A lot of people did prepare for the 8-patch nerfs. He's very high into free subjects. Now that's because on the 8-patch, prosperity will decay. And you need a lot of prosperity. Now, Genoa, because of the birthprice of banking, they always stay at 100% prosperity. But these other areas, you can see they're going to decay. He's going to have to get free subjects. He's going to have to get over here. He's going to have to get the market fairs for that as well. But in that, he's got lots of land, 1 million Italians. Italians are just worth more, at least for the early game. So that's pretty good for him. He's got 500,000 there, 100,000 here. Of course, it goes 100,000. So we can nearly get to 2 million pops. So from that perspective, we're doing totally fine. The Italians did manage to threaten the French. I talked about this in my last video. The French owned a bit of Italy. They threatened him because they had a giganormous starting army. And France backed down and gave them everything they wanted. And then we can see over here, lots of Genoese crossbowmen supported by some artillery and some heavy cavalry. And over here, mysteriously standing all alone, Genoese crossbowmen with heavy cavalry. I wonder what's about to happen to them. They can't see anything. They can't see anything. So far as naval control, these between Naples and Genoa, they're the strongest in all the Mediterranean. Genoa over here has Genoese galleys. Despite being an Age 1 galley, they do enormous damage at 12 cannons instead of 9. Compared to a Tier 2 galley, they have 12 cannons. A Tier 2 galley would have 9. They have 6 hull, though, compared to a Tier 2 galley 7 hull. So they do a lot more damage, but are a little bit squishier. They also get more movement speed. So these Genoese galleys are quite powerful. Of course, Genoa does have the unique building. The, what is this thing called? Galley barracks. Now, we could probably do a bit more barracks here. If I do look here, we get we could probably slap a few more of these down, get unlimited sailors. Not entirely needed, but he'll just import sailors for them anyway. I mean, we're just good proximity, good everything. The only real complaint I have here, the only real issue I have with this tech, he's doing some really dumb techs. Theaters are not good. Stone output to national assemblies. You know he's not going to use national assemblies. Like, I'm not saying national assemblies is bad. In fact, I might even go national assemblies myself, but it's not what he needs right now. What does he need right now? He needs to make more money because he's already plutocratic. So we need to sprint down here for Pondlock Canal. We need to grab that max literacy. You went admin ideas in Age 2. Grab the max literacy. That'll help your tech. That'll help everything else. Then let's go over here. And let's grab that proximity cost finally. Max literacy for nobles, cost in court. Then let's go over here. Let's get that literacy for clergy as well, literacy for burghers. That's what I would recommend. There's too many wacky stuff. Also, you are a republic, so once we do go down here, we can grab the burgher estate satisfaction. We can grab the army morale. Now, the burgher estate satisfaction, you might not need it, but in age 3, you could curtail the burghers and tax them even harder. So you might want a little bit more satisfaction there. Other than that, the Italians, they got 60 galleys on Genoa, and then over here on Naples, I believe that's 60 galleys. These are up-to-date Mediterranean galleys as well. And so I don't think there's anybody, I checked around before I even made this video. There's nobody in the Mediterranean who can even come to half of their power, not even a tenth of, okay, maybe a tenth. They can come to a tenth of their power, and that's about it. Up next, we've got our good pal Flanders. Now, Flanders did, of course, form the Netherlands. We talked about what these guys did. The Italians just sat in their box, and now they're running that crusade over North Africa. And they are winning that crusade. Over here in the Netherlands, what we are doing is, well, he vassalized a lot, and now he's trying to annex it. And I'm not entirely sure that's really a good idea. Because let me actually explain this to you. He needs Antwerp. And I think if I was playing him right now, I think, here's my opinion. And maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. I think I would just get them to be loyal. Are you centralized right now? No, you are decentralized, but all your vassals, let's actually look at this. Your vassals still hate you. Ooh, that 8 patch is not liking you. You made way too many vassals. You did not annex them. We're 60 years in and you've annexed like 1 vassal. That's not enough vassals. But why does he need Antwerp? Okay, so we can see on this proximity right here that his proximity goes up to here to grab the lowlands. And why is that not working? Well, he got all 3 buildings for harbor capacity. You got the wharf, the protected harbor, and the dock. But the natural harbor suitability of Bruges is only 0.25. This is why I think he needs Antwerp. Antwerp is a natural harbor suitability of 1.0. Well, actually, it's 0.8, but he can get it up to 1.0. He can actually get it to 1.3, in fact, because he did go protected harbors as well. Now, when we do look over here and we look at the proximity, you can see that from Bruges, just to get out of Bruges into the estuary is costing him 16 proximity. If we compare that to London, London would be paying 0.1. So if we compare the proximity of England, who is controlling that entire coast fantastically, which we'll get into in a second, the Netherlands can't even control over into still the Netherlands. So he's got to get Antwerp, and we can see coming out of Antwerp is this C node here. So he would only be 1, 2, 3, or is that 4? Can this one reach this one? I don't think so. This would be 4 to get into here. The alternative is putting that capital in Amsterdam, because Amsterdam would be the same thing. Amsterdam would have to get out. The alternative is to go to Dordrecht. Now, Dordrecht is only 55% to Amsterdam's 0.75. So you got a lot of options. I mean, it really depends on what he thinks he's going to do, what he thinks he's going to accomplish. I think Antwerp, based on where his country is, Antwerp would probably be the best to control all of this, including the naval. That's just my opinion. I would seize that and get in there. So far as centralization versus decentralization, he prepped for the 8 patch and doesn't really care about decentralizing. He could actually go 100% decentralized right now and be totally fine. His vassals will get loyal after he decentralizes a little bit anyway, so I wouldn't be too worried about that one. Now, so far as his state loyalty, he doesn't have anything more he can tax. So getting that estate loyalty from decentralized, that's not really going to help him. Are there anything else really here? No. Now, what the Netherlands did do, I talked about this in my other videos, they worked with France against England, kicked the English out, and got their independence. Once they did get independent, they immediately threw into the Holy Roman Empire, and then they made an alliance with England and Sweden. personal opinion, I don't think England is going to land to help them against the French. I don't think Sweden is going to land to help them against the French. So basically, what's happening here is England is using the Netherlands like a defensive alliance that only benefits them to scare away other people. Now, more to the point, the Dutch Navy right now is all horribly out of date traditional galleys. These would hurt nobody. Nobody would be afraid of this. Not nobody, not no how. These are horribly out of date. He doesn't seem to have gotten, if I had to look here, he hasn't gotten the Carrack, he hasn't gotten the Bark, he hasn't gotten the Mediterranean Galley, which is over here somewhere. I'm sure if he got it, he would probably, yeah. He doesn't have the Mediterranean Galley. What does he have? We have Peasant Levy and First Strike. He went mill ideas down to cav power. Now the cav power is not a bad idea because obviously we do have a lot of heavy cav here. 11 heavy cav, one extra for each flank. Outflank your opponents with this one simple tactic. So income is fine. I mean, he's got 70 income. That's not fantabulous. Even Genoa running overseas is making 25. Once they stop paying for their army and their fort maintenance, they'll be much higher. Plus, Genoa can do a lot to improve their situation. Tuscany was actually running, even at war, a cool 141 income, which is nutty. That means they're making a lot at peace. They're making 200 at peace. That might make them the richest nation in the game. Naples is making 155. Well, I mean, they got the infinite teeth gold, so what are you going to do? Not much to do. Not much. I mean, the Dutch could be obviously blockaded because there's not really much the Dutch could do to prevent a blockade, unfortunately. Not much anyone could do to prevent a blockade other than two Sicilies and Genoa. Now, could Castile prevent a blockade? Well, no. They have some Catalan galleys. Now, Catalan galleys, I believe these are tier 1, yeah? These are an upgraded tier 1 galley, so they are better than tier 2 galleys. I do believe they're better than tier 2 galleys, because that was a 10-7, and this guy's 9-7. So these are effectively a slightly upgraded tier 2 galley, but I think they would lose to the Genoese galley, and they certainly wouldn't stand up to any heavy ships, and it does seem that it only has about 10 of them. He doesn't need that many. So far as fortifications to prevent naval invasions, I'm not seeing a lot of those either. There's an easy way in through here. There's an easy way in through here. There's an easy way in through here, through here. His capital could be taken by pretty much any naval force whatsoever. And he wouldn't be able to prevent that. Now, for income, he does not have the most income. Despite being one of the most powerful nations in the world, we're talking about a mere 130 income. Not too fantastic. Now, I would argue that that was because he did what a lot of people have been doing, not building roads. There's a lot of areas here without roads. We don't have roads out to here. We don't have roads here, 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 here. We don't have roads up to here. Building roads, it just gives you money. You get infinite money by building roads. You can see some areas of the world are just, they're just road. It's just perfect, right? And then some areas of the world seem to be a bit greedy with their roads, and I'm not sure why that is. I did notice one horrible flaw with Castile that a lot of people could abuse, and that is, if we look, what technology are you researching? Well, number one, the men-at-arms. Wait, the men-at-arms. Uh-oh. That means you got the handgunner. That's not good, which we'll get into in a second. But second up, he doesn't have docks yet in 1409. Doesn't have the early Carrack. Doesn't have Castilian Navy. He is completely powerless for about 5 years now. Now, why is a handgunner worse than the men-at-arms? So let's look at the men-at-arms. 5 weapons, 3 leather, and then they have 3 speed with 10% strength damage reduction. Handgunner, 5 guns, 5 weapons, 3 leather. A lot more expensive. And only 1.5 combat speed compared to 3. And instead of strength damage reduced, taken, they have morale damage done, increased. So they're not as good, and they're more expensive by nearly double. Not great. Not great. So Castile, I would recommend build up your area, maybe get the naval damage done over here, maybe grab all that stuff. You know, you did go mill ideas. You went levy size. Ooh, I'm not sure I'd have sprinted all the way down here. You went all that way down just to grab levy size. Now, you do have some very impressive levies, I'll admit. If anyone attacked Castile right now, it would actually, I think your regulars would actually just get swamped in pure Castilian bodies, frankly. We go look then, who's up next? At England. Now, England, last session I talked about how England was scaling for late game, and they scaled for late game. We are nearly fully centralized, nearly 100% innovative, nearly 100% spiritualist, high aristocracy, very high serfdom, little belligerent, very high traditional, and 100 communalism. What does that mean? That means that England is making a lot of money. Like a lot of money. England is making a lot of money. In addition to that, I've been talking about the Navy so much because England has opted for the wooden wall strategy with 60 carracks. Okay, these are traditional galleys. I imagine these were built early just for the purpose of defense. But here we have 15 carracks, 15 more carracks, 15 more carracks, and then carracks, you guessed it, these are cogs, and then even more carracks. I think that's actually 66 carracks in total. 66 carracks. Now, I did do the math before I did this video. That's over 5,000 gold spent on naval defense. Although he doesn't have an army, this does mean that England did not actually overgreed. A lot of people thought and said that he was being overly greedy, but when you spend 5,000 gold on defense, I wouldn't call that being greedy. There's nobody on this map who could get through. If every naval power combined, they would not be able to get through the 66 carrack defense force. It's not going to happen. That ain't happening. At this point, he can pretty much blockade anyone he wants. Now, what we are seeing over here as well is in order to defend this unlimited Giga Navy, he is currently making 312 sailors with 18,000 possible. How is he doing that? How could he get that much? Well, he is putting a town on every single coastline. You're probably seeing that right here. Everything must be a town. Everyone must have a dock. Everyone must be getting sailors. Unfortunately, none of the other naval powers are as committed to this naval gameplay. Definitely not France, definitely not Portugal, definitely not the corpse of Morocco, which we'll get into in a second. Not even the Italians, not the Ottomans, not Mamluks. This is a naval meme that the world has never seen. Quite frankly, I think it might be too late for any of the naval powers to even get in here anymore. They're just gone. So I do think he's being a bit too greedy with the roads. We could just get some roads. Just get some roads. We did set up some markets. We got the market of London, the market of York. Though the market of York is not very lucrative, it does mean that these areas have high market control, so he could build them up. I do see some coal over here that could be useful. Some lead. I mean, the proximity on the coast is wonderful, so he could easily build in and get control over here if he actually, well, built some roads. This road is going south, by the way. I can tell because that's a game start road. These are the only ones he built. If he just built some roads. But I suspect when you spend nearly 6,000 gold on naval defense, you skimp a little bit on the roads because, you know, living is better than dying. As for France, oh boy. So England didn't do much. France didn't do much. Castile killed Aragon. Western Europe, a bit quiet. France still a bit quiet. Now, at the end of last session, he did take a bunch of vassals here. At the beginning of this session, he peaced out because he realized the Italians were just way militarily above of him. He gave up his holdings in Italy. He surrendered his dignity to the Italians. And now he's just chilling. His army is extraordinarily large. I do believe we have, how many is this? 58 heavy cav, 13 cannons, 7 camp followers, and 12 footmen. Why footmen? Wait, why did you get handgunners? Why are you guys getting handgunners? They're terrible. So, for some reason, he hasn't upgraded his infantry. At this point, he's likely just going to wait to age 2 and save the technology point to have to go into them. Oh, no, he is going to try to get them anyway. Okay. Well, whatever. We are going thirst for knowledge. I mean, this is a good idea. Trade range, maritime presence, Pound Lock Canal, thirst for knowledge. That's good. Pound Lock Canal, I did mention you can put that in cities, or did I not mention that? So that's why I was actually recommending that Genoa does Pound Lock Canal here, Pound Lock Canal here, puts everything into a city, Pound Lock, pound, 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 pound. Give Genoa a pounding, is what I'm saying. Pound Lock Canal also kind of works out for France, because all these areas on cities that are also on the river can get a Pound Lock Canal to reduce the proximity cost. So it is a technology, it does cost a little bit much, but we can use that to build all this up. So far as wealth, France has all the wealth. Now, they did not get the Western Schism, and that obviously put them down a little bit. We are seeing a mere 176. Oof. But that's because we're paying a lot in army maintenance. Gold is fine. Trade income is fine. Everything's looking fine. We do have an outrageously big everything. He hasn't really made any moves on any players or tried any expansions or anything like that. It looks... I'm in a royal marriage with France, and he's in a royal marriage with Württemberg. Ugh, we're gonna get our juices everywhere. Not too much to talk about with France. He will definitely... He is at 100 centralization right now, and he has managed to keep it by, as I mentioned, 0.01. It does not mention, or I should say, it does not matter that he is 0.01. He will maintain 100 centralization. So France will not be doomed by the centralizing. In fact, none of the powers I was actually talking about are going to be hurt by it. Castile 0.00, so they won't move. Genoa is centralizing as well. Naples is centralizing. Tuscany is centralizing. Even with the nerfs of this patch, everybody here is still centralizing that I've talked about. And, I mean, there's not much to talk about with France. It's France. They built up. They did good. They're doing fine. They didn't fight any wars. They haven't done anything. Their proximity is, pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so that takes us to Portugal. Emphasis on Portugal, making a mere 23 income. They decided to skimp on the army. They didn't even put their king on it because they don't own their king. Castile owns their king. They're in a personal union with Castile. Oh, I should mention the personal union meme with Naples and Aragon continues. They did kick out Poland somehow, and they do have a shitload of fiefdoms between all of them. All the fiefdoms are improving their queen and giving them near godlike stats. It gets even worse because their heir is a prodigy, and then they'll be improved by fiefdoms, and then they're going to have like their third 100 ruler in a row. I'm getting a headache on this. Portugal and Castile do not seem to be doing the fiefdom personal union shenanigans, but they do have a Midas-touched ruler, inspiring ruler, expected cost of core reductions. This guy's like super standard. This guy's like super good. But he's also gonna die. Yeah. Now their heir is not some giga prodigy, but actually just a regular prodigy. This guy's pretty good. Now he is an admiral. An admiral of... Oh, no, Portugal doesn't get to touch it. Castile seems to have swat Portugal away. Like, stop. No, don't touch the royal family. That's my family. Aragon is dead. As for Portugal itself, let's check here. Early Iberian Caravel, Catalan Galley, early Iberian... Okay, so basically Portugal is keeping their naval presence up, which is definitely keeping their proximity up. It's a pretty good proximity hold here. He's doing what he can, but you know what? Let's go ahead and look at them roads. Okay, we have no roads. In terms of roads, we have no roads. And they didn't build the sand, and they didn't build the horses. Everyone's using cavalry. Build the horses. It's just free money. It's on the ground. Pick it up. Pick it up. Just game starter. Boom, boom, boom. Free money. Wool, free money. Wheat, free food. Marble, that's fine. You built the marble. Beeswax, free money. Sand, free money. Livestock, free money. Iron, okay, you built the iron. Wheat, free money. What do you got here? Iron, okay, fine, you built the iron. Lumber, build the lumber, free money. More lumber, build the lumber. Bro, he's got an entire goddamn forest over here. And then more wheat, okay, well, I know why Portugal is not making money. Putting the poor in Portugal. Not very innovative, not very centralized. A little bit of each. Very traditional economy and not too communalism. So put the poor in Portugal. Oh my God, look. This shit right here. Put a road up to here, get all this stuff. This is like 20 income just on the ground right here. I mean, you can just pick it up. No one will stop you. And Aragon is still dead. So that leaves me with Austria. Now, what did such a amazing, handsome individual on Austria do that made him so fabulously wealthy for one of the minor secondary powers of Europe? How did such a beautiful man manage to do that? You guessed it right. We built roads, 22 tax base, 22 tax base, and RGOs. Wait, road, oop, RGO. Wait for it, road, oop, RGO. Road, RGO. Road, RGO. Road, RGO. Over here, it's legumes. Someone gives a shit. Salt, nobody cares. Salt, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Sturdy grains, nobody cares. Wool, RGO. Stone, RGO. Lumber, RGO. Wool, nobody cares. Sturdy grains, nobody cares. Wheat, fur, legumes. I even built the legumes. Wine again. Livestock. Okay, well, the livestock is because we're trying to build forts. RGO. Build the RGO, people. In fact, here, I'm gonna give you a secret. I'm gonna give you the secret to life. We're gonna look at all the richest nations. See how there's like a glow here? See how there's a glow of prosperity from all the rich provinces? You can see it from space. It's bright. Do you know why that is? It's called two things. Roads, RGOs. Roads, RGOs. You can see Castile's very rich right here, but he could be richer with roads and RGOs. England's pretty decently wealthy as well. Now, as you might imagine, Austria is being threatened by Bohemia, the probably most overpowered nation in the entire game. Bohemia has... Okay, there is something funny that's killing Bohemia, which we'll get into in a second. This is very abusive, but, well, you know what? Okay. First off, we have 10,000 of the finest Austrian men ready to throw down their lives to defend our nation. We couldn't afford cavalry. We couldn't afford cavalry while trying to keep pace with Bohemia at any rate. But we put towns. You can see that. Towns everywhere. And all these towns got an armory because the people of Austria need to give us their manpower. It's like a spirit ball, right? But like, give me your manpower. Seriously, I needed all the manpower because we need a big army because we need to defend against the Bohemians, which we'll get into in a second. Now, of course, we did conquer over here. We conquered into Bavaria and we were invaded disastrously, not in this session, but in the last session by Bohemia. He tried to kill me, citing that I cut him off because I took this land here. See, all he had was all of North Germany, but this little bit here, this was a bridge too far, obviously. I mean, I believe it. At any rate, we needed a very large defense force. Now, on these northern provinces, you can see that we've put every bit of defense we can. We have forts. We even built the expensive fortress churches up here. We're finishing them here. We're finishing them here. We, I believe, I didn't put one there. We put a fortress church on Vienne. We put a fortress church on Linz. We are trying to keep ourselves alive here because Bohemia, he is a terror. Now, I did notice a few things I did wrong. A few things I could have done better. What were those? Number one, we could probably have pushed way more into innovative. Number two, we could definitely have pushed more into communalism. Number three, we should probably have committed to traditional economy or to capital economy. Basically, shit or get off the pot, right? Like, don't be half into either, just sort of dwaddling between them. What I could have done here very easily is I could have got off burgher land rights. That would give me much bigger RGOs in my cities as well. And that would allow me to push more communalism. You see that? Now we're at point 3. Then we could ram in here to clergy. We could grab that strength and faith for even more, you guessed it, communalism. So we could right now be 0.5 into communalism, which is pretty good. Then we could push that manually from our government, get that to about 20% efficiency, and go all the way up to 70 communalism, which I think would be pretty good. I think there'd be a lot of good communalism. Then we could use that to make my estates a little bit happier and to also revoke privileges at a bit of a cheaper price so that we could fine-tune our government to a bit more of our liking. Now, of course, we have, I believe, the third largest army in Europe right now, afforded by the strongest Austrian Alps iron. We're building lots of iron. Iron is quite expensive. We did do a very large road building project. These were expensive. Like, if you guys think these weren't expensive, like, look at these. This is like 180 gold. I mean, geez, that's per tile. This took thousands of gold to dig out of these mountains. I'm like a dwarf. I swear to God, I'm like a dwarf. I dug my way into these damn mountains, and we did manage to get all the iron out of these mountains to defend against Giga Bohemia. By the way, you can tell who's overpowered based on who just sits on like ludicrous amounts of gold. Like Castile 400, France 30, England 400, Austria 200, Tuscany 500, Genoa 800, Hungary 660, Naples 3,700 gold, Bohemia 5,300. I'm sorry, makes a little bit too much money there, Bohemia. Bohemia definitely needs a nerf. And I think they have too many gold mines. I think they have too much proximity cost. In particular, this law right here, frankly, the fact they start 75 land is absurd when the average is 50. Like, Austria starts higher land, Poland starts higher land. I think that's fine. Hungary and Bohemia starting higher land, I kind of take a bit of an issue with this one. But the one law that I take a particular issue with is the legal code right here, the Maestras Carolina, giving a negative 10% proximity cost for centralization. It's just a little bit noble piss off. That's a very, 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 very strong law. And the fact that it centralizes you that easy, it's pretty powerful, devs. For a nation that really, Austria gets 5% proximity, they get 10%. That's a bit strong, is all I'll say. The Bohemian army is insane. So, whereas Austria has the strongest Austrian males known to man, 50 men-at-arms, all willing to throw down their lives and defend the Austrian Archduchy, he has 44 Wagenbergs and 36 heavy cavalrymen. Wagenbergs also got buffed again in version 8. Probably buffed a bit too much. Devs, what the fuck? So the Wagenberg, regular infantry of 25% damage reduction. I think they even got nerfed. Didn't they get nerfed? Infantry in version 8? I think they got nerfed. So it's 25% damage reduction on the sides. Yeah, this got nerfed. What the hell? Wait, why did infantry get nerfed? Wait, maybe I'm misunderstanding something. Did all infantry get nerfed? Wait. On the version 8 patch, they did get nerfed. Wait, why did infantry get nerfed? Cav were OP as shit, so infantry got... Oh boy, we're gonna have to test that. I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. Either rate, infantry now take 25% less damage instead of 50%. Apparently. Not really sure why. And the Wagenbergs still take that 50% damage reduction. Did they maybe mess up these numbers and everyone is supposed to be 50%? Either way, they do 10% strength damage taken and 10% morale damage taken, and take 25% less damage. So that's strong. Honestly, I'm not sure anything could actually beat Bohemia right now. I think Bohemia is actually quickly reaching the point where it's practically becoming unslottable in multiplayer, because holy crap, like if Bohemia actually wants to and they actually care, I think Age 2 Bohemia could just like wipe out every single nation around them combined. I think Bohemia would beat Austria, Hungary, and Poland combined. So they would have to be coalition day one. Because like, holy crap. Anyway, we are making, yes, that's right, 215 gold, despite that giga army. Due to being emperor, they have 762 imperial army contribution. Nobody, if you actually look here at Austria, you can see the problem here. Even with Austria and all my diplomatic reputation from Austria, I'm not even close to being able to get him off emperor. And so he will just permanently keep unlimited manpower, 68,000 in the bank compared to my 16,000. Once the Hussite Wars kicks off, it will buff him again, because Hussite Wars chains off infinite money. It's pretty common for Bohemia by the end of the Hussite Wars to have 50k plus gold sitting around, because they will literally generate infinite gold to the point where, like, what do you even do once you're making 1,000 gold every couple of months? Like, there's nothing you can do. So, we'll see what happens with that. Except we won't! Little known fact, little exploitive fact, in fact. Did you guys know that when the Papal States is a vassal, it will not let the Hussite Wars situation start? And therefore, if two Sicilies eats the entire Pope over here, and France vassalizes them, that it will not let the Hussite Wars start. So due to some conspiratorial behavior out of France and two Sicilies, Bohemia does not get their game win, which they have complained about a lot, but technically is allowed in the rules by a complete technicality. And by reading the game files, they found out they can prevent the Hussite Wars situation. Technically legal, the best kind. That's gonna be taken out of context. Okay, so yeah, they're still overpowered as shit, though. They're just not able to 1v20 with 90 trillion billion gold. For those you don't know, the events that give you gold during the Hussite Wars are based on your total income, and then you can click buttons on it as well for income based on your total income. So it's pretty common to get 1,000 gold every couple of months by event, then 1,000 gold every time you click one of the buttons on the Hussite Wars situation. To effectively, like, Bohemia can literally, I mean, I'm not even joking. The last time we played, everybody gave up, and Bohemia still had 17,000 in the bank and was just waiting to buy even more mercenaries. So, yeah. Bohemia is insanity, and this Wagenburg is insanity. I need to understand what's going on in the beta, because I don't understand what's going on with the secure flanks modifier, because infantry were not overpowered and were frequently cited as just being directly worse than cavalry, and then infantry get nerfed? Is that really? I mean, that's got to be a bug. I have to imagine this is like some bug or some tooltip error. I don't think they would nerf infantry when infantry were already not exactly performing too well. But enough about Bohemia and their victory lap on Europe. Let's talk about Poland. Ain't looking so good. They came out of session 1 looking fantastic. They came out of session 2 looking, once they pick it up. They came out of session 3 looking, oh boy, that's going to leave a mark. So they've opted for the 100% decentralization play. I don't think that was a choice. I think the Szlachta might have forced that on them. They are in another Polish noble rebellion. I'm not sure what to say about Poland. So Poland does have a couple things to their benefit. What are those things? Number 1, iron. They have all the iron. Iron's about to get very expensive due to the rapid industrialization of the European arms industry. And they have all the iron. And Poland has the unique, wait for it, The unique, where is it? Reform. I'm looking for it right here, chat. The Folwark system, getting 20% max RGO size, which will let Poland get absolutely massive iron mines. Now, what Poland could easily do is build a road to the iron over here and then max that out. Build a road! They are very poor. Not much else to say. Very poor. They are at max diplomatic spending. Now, why is that? That's because they have too many relations. Why do they have too many relations? Because they're allied to everybody in the world. Maybe drop some alliances and explain that you can't lose all your money. Well, he could drop some of that, get some more money. That would at least be 45. Do we really need 100 stability spending? Drop that. We're up to 55 income. Win your civil war. Build the road. Get your iron up to date. Build more roads. Oh, he actually did build roads. Okay, we didn't build one to Lublin. Build a road. And then get that wool. Wool. I'm gonna go insane. Guys, this is free money. Wool is free money. That's just buckery booze you're leaving on the ground. Ugh. Okay. Hungary, nothing but compliments to Hungary. So he is gonna decentralize, and he could put a council position on centralizing for now, and then what he could try to do is annex some of these vassals. I think he is pretty close to 1 right now, so he just needs to annex a couple, and he'll keep this country in at least, he'll keep it at least mostly at the centralization it's at right now. Okay, he is doing something I've never seen before, and I don't know if this is going to pay off. But we'll get into Eastern Europe in a second. There's a little kerfuffle happening right now. A little bit of a throwdown, a little bit of a happenstance. We'll get into the big wars in a second. There were some of them, okay? Hungary is trying this strategy by spamming villages and rural cloth makers. I've never seen anybody do this, and I don't know if this is going to pay off. Now, he's also stacking these marketplaces, which is probably a good idea, trying to do something, I'm not quite sure. But we do see a new strategy. Now, Hungary also has a decent chunk of iron, not as much as Poland, but a decent chunk of iron. So in addition to their silver and their gold, we also have iron, because Hungary's got everything in the world. So far as towns and cities, we can see, oh my god, how many is that? Wait, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4 cities, and I'm working on a 5th. Poland is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's working on 6, 7, and 8. Hungary has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's working on 7. God damn. Mega city Hungary over here, man. Holy crap. So far as, oh man, towns, everything is a town, everything is going great, the economy is booming. I'm hoping he has enough food for all this. He does for now, so everything's going fantabulous. Really no complaints. Everything is just going up Hungary's way. So far as income, he took everyone's income. 300 income. That's a lot of income. Now, there is one thing I do want to mention for Bohemia, by the way. Bohemia's power will go down here dramatically. He's got too many vassals. For some reason, he just absolutely refused to ever annex anything. He's got way too many vassals, and this centralization is going to start bleeding away. He could put a council position on improving it and try to eat vassals, but I don't think he'll be able to keep it. He'll probably be able to normalize it maybe at 50, but then he's down a council position the entire game. So we'll see what he tries to do. I think even with those 2 vassals eaten, he'll be at a negative 0.3. So he would have to... Oof, he would have to do something. He'd have to give up something here. I mean, he could rip off fortification licenses maybe, but I don't think his nobles would be too happy with that one. And 96 stability, that one would be a bit rough. Let's see, centralized, a little bit innovative, pretty normal stuff here. Super high land, super high traditional economy. Let's see, what did Hungary have? Did you guys have anything? Super high traditional, super high communalism, really high innovative. Is that 100 spiritualist? Is that 100? That is 100 spiritualists. 2 tolerance of the true faith. Dos tolerance. Poland, let's actually look at Poland. Poland, did you have anything? I mean, you maxed out decentralization, so, you know, like, ooh, good job there, buddy. 100 traditional economy. Poland went as far away from a capital economy as they could. I think they were chased away, in fact. Not too communal, pretty decent on land, but I think he starts with that. Overall, the sliders aren't looking too great. I could definitely be better on my sliders. I'm actually a little bit frustrated looking at some other countries. I see they have so many better sliders than me, and I'm like, ugh. Okay, so far as the people within the Holy Roman Empire, Hesse got that inflation totally under control, so he's doing pretty good there. In terms of income, 53 income's doing fine. He did get bullied a little bit by Württemberg and Bohemia. He had to give up some land, but he's still alive. The only problem is he's much weaker than Flanders, Netherlands, which is just, I mean, they just scaled a bit better than him. Tons of vassals. He will not be keeping his centralization. He can maybe put a cabinet position on pushing it, but there's, I mean, at a certain point, I feel like there's just so many vassals. I don't know why we needed to have, how many is this right now? 22 vassals. Might be a little bit too many vassals, that one. So yeah, lots of vassals there. So far as roads, I do believe for all these people, yeah, I mean, Hungary is a road. They are a pure goddamn road. I got as many roads as could possibly be profitable. Bohemia is a road. Hesse is mostly a road. Looks like we have some land down here that's not roaded. I should mention, by the way, Hungary, I do believe they went full RGOs. I didn't mention it for these countries because they did it. Full RGOs everywhere. Over here, full RGOs on Bohemia. I could maybe get some RGOs on these weaker things like salt, but basically anything worth having an RGO on, I maxed out and made pretty profitable. A lot of this stuff is pretty good. Wait, which one is that? Livestock. Yeah, we can max out livestock. I put a lot of my money over here. You can kind of see a lot of the Austrian money went over here into getting these armories and towns up to date. Really needed that manpower. Didn't have much left, unfortunately, after getting all that manpower. A lot of these RGOs are bigger than the towns, by the way, because I revoked that law. But yeah, I mean, we'll get those up to date as well. So we look at Hesse. How are we doing on the RGOs? I see some lead here, not maxed. Fur, not maxed. The gold is maxed. Fruit, lumber maxed. Salt maxed. Stamp, wool maxed. Fiber crop sap. Livestock. Did you? I'm wondering. Did you actually keep? Which one was that law? You got everything from the burgers. Everything. 100 satisfaction for. I'd be satisfied with myself if I was a burger right now too. So you unfortunately also have burger land rights. Burger land rights, I think, is just bad. I think it's just a bad privilege. It's not a good one. Not a good one at all. Then over here we got powerful diocese. I mean, yeah. In fact, if we actually look through the tech growth, we can see here Naples at 1.8 tech growth, Tuscany at 1.97, Genoa over here at 1.71, Castile 1.73, Portugal 1.64, France 1.76, England 1.97. Now, England cheated. This is a big imbalance in the game right now. Catholicism sucks. How much does it suck? It sucks a lot. How much is it? It sucks a lot. Why is Catholic so bad? Okay, so you might be noticing something very important. England isn't Catholic. That's because, if I could find it, England decided to go Lollard. Why did they decide to go Lollard? That's okay for a second. Let's you guys can all look in here for a second. Catholic gives a bunch of random crap, but mostly 25 literacy for the clergy. Lollard gives negative 50% clergy power, plus 50% peasant power, and then 10 literacy. 10 literacy. Okay. But then once you actually look into the benefits of Lollardism, because that's only the passive buffs, even on the very first religious aspect, 10 literacy again, plus 0.10 innovative. Holy crap, that's 20 literacy. They almost get as much literacy as the Catholics only get on the priests. But you might be saying, what about the Catholic? See, all that shit gets disabled when the Western Schism is inactive. And the Western Schism, even if it wasn't inactive, the most you could do is get DEI for the 5% of state satisfaction. That's just not good enough. Catholic sucks. It's very underpowered compared to literally anything else, which is probably going to become a recurring problem, by the way, because if every single Catholic needs to eject from Catholic to get to the stronger religions, that is going to cause very large problems in the future. Muslim is like Islam is by far the best right now, which is kind of a problem. But so far as Hash, he's obviously going to decentralize. He didn't really put much effort into centralization to begin with, so whatever. He needs to annex these dudes. He needs to get them into his empire. He has no actual land himself. If we look at his income, in fact, his vassals are all probably disloyal as hell. Yeah, he's too centralized for vassals. The Dutcherlands, I do believe, yeah, they tried to centralize. They're going to be pulled right back down. And their vassals are also all disloyal, yeah. So the 1.0.8 patch is definitely not going to be great for these guys, but great for balance as a whole, because the balance in this game, so far as vassal spam, is not great, which I'll get into in a second. Hesse is probably the second most powerful HRE member, followed by Württemberg. Not much to talk about with these two. They really haven't done that much. Württemberg is definitely the third most powerful. Now, they have a mere 20 income, which is not great. They do have more people than Hesse. Hesse has, what is that, 557,000. They have 600,000. But they are just not very rich, likely due to the lack of gold mines. Gold mines probably need to be nerfed. I think silver mines can stay 8. Maybe they should be 7.5. But I think gold mines should come down to 9. I think it just makes too much money. And I think it kind of screws with the game's balance. That anyone who owns a gold mine, I know you're about to say like, oh, but it's a gold mine. I think it's just too good. I think it like kind of warps the game because gold kind of gives unlimited, well, gold. You might say, well, of course it does. But, you know, come on. Württemberg doesn't have a gold mine. They are obviously also vassaled, but I don't believe they're as vassaled. Yeah, they have 9 vassals compared to Hesse's 92,000. So they are pretty centralized. They will continue to centralize. So from that perspective, they're in a better position. A lot of people seem to think I surrounded Württemberg, by the way. These are all starting vassals of Austria. And I'm not even joking. All this stuff out west, Austria actually starts with. I mean, I took Augsburg, but that's, you know, that's next to them anyway. Austria is just like weirdly out west. This is what they are. Anyway, as for Württemberg themselves, let's actually look here for a second. On roads, most of the roads are done. What are you? Salt, yeah, most of the roads are done. There's fruit here. I mean, they don't really care. They don't have the most money anyway. Stuttgart, they did manage to make into a city. And then they're getting a town on a Vaihingen, so that'll be pretty good. Do they only have 2 towns? Let's see. Town, city. Oh, they did get a city over here, Speyer. Wait, no, they don't have Speyer. Huh. Guess Bohemia didn't want them to have Speyer because Bohemia wanted... Is that a vassal, maybe? What is a vassal? Why is he not integrating that? Well, he's integrating the Palatine of the Rhine. I don't know. I would probably have taken Speyer. Although it's only got 400... A city of 450 people? That's not much of a city. Okay. Huh. Let me build that up. I think they're doing what they can, but they're not exactly the most rich over here. Their tax base is 143. Hesse's tax base is 276. Flanders tax base is 400. So that's pretty high. To keep this into perspective, Württemberg's tax base is 143. Tax base of Eastern Upper Swabia is 40. Tax base of Black Forest is 23. Kyberg is 26. Okay, Hohenli is not too great. There's 72 in Ansbach even. Now what are you? You're 8. 8? Upper Palatinine Forest is 8. Well, that's not too high. So Württemberg kind of got squished. France squished them from the top. Well, I should say France squished them from the west. Hesse is kind of butting up against them here. Austria just starts with these dudes out here, which kind of squishes them. It's just kind of awkward. I'm not sure what to say. It's just kind of awkward. Normally, I think what happened historically is the Swiss managed to yoink that from Austria, if I'm not misremembering. But in game, the Swiss are really, really, really bad. Really bad. Really, really bad. And they have absolutely 0%. Austria is barely even strong, and the Swiss still would be able to not do anything. Yeah. So these two didn't really do anything. Might see some wars here. Okay. That takes us to Sweden, which takes us not, well, You know what? This is the perfect time to talk about it. The Great Eastern War. Now, what is the Great Eastern War? So, Lithuania tried to be nice and didn't kill Muscovy early game. He said he wanted a fair fight. Unfortunately, the fair fight has come to him, and he is not prepared for it at all. In fact, Muscovy is going to crush him. Sweden, to my knowledge, has decided, no, stop bullying Lithuania without me. And so Sweden has seen the clear winner about to happen and seems to be joining in to get more land for themselves, because Sweden deserves a little something. They did their hardest, okay? They tried really hard, and they also deserve some land. Sweden itself, they have taken over Denmark. They have the Jarldom of Zealand, the Jarldom of Norrland. They did eat all their stuff over here. Now, if we do look into the sea, they have no navy. Which means, unfortunately, their proximity sucks. That's not too great for you, Sweden. Sweden. Not sure what to say about that one. Sweden definitely needs more roads, more boats, more everything. How are we doing on income, Sweden? 50. That's not too high either. So we don't have income. We don't have vassals. Oh, you know, Sweden does have 2,000 of the most fine, actually pretty cool models. Look at those. Those are pretty cool models. I like those models. 2,000 armies. Actually, here's what's funny. If you actually look into Moskva, they have a grand total of 50 regulars. Lithuania has 600 regulars. 12 armored horsemen. Now, that actually could matter. But that does mean with 10 up-to-date, trained, drilled regulars, Sweden actually has the strongest army up here. How the hell did that happen? So, yeah, I'm not quite sure how that one worked out. Honestly, Sweden should demand more land. To side with Russia, maybe they deserve Luzkaya. I mean, honestly, like, you know, maybe they deserve it. Maybe they should have it. You know, maybe they should at least have the corridor over here, you know? A little land right there. I mean, maybe they should have that. Maybe Skav should be Swedish Skav. I'm just saying, you know, Swedish Skav. At the very least, they can maybe get some money. You know what I mean? You know, get your money. Everybody's giving you. Get your money. You know, do something. You got this giant army. Swing it around. Big dick it. I'm just saying. You've actually got the strongest army in Eastern Europe. Okay. So, Sweden has some problems, obviously. In fact, you can see it right here. You cannot build roads while it is in severe winter. How much is it severe winter in Sweden? A lot. It's severe winter, a lot. Honestly, I'm something of a winter connoisseur myself. But yeah, it's really hard for them to get roads up here, which can be really frustrating because it can take forever. Sweden does have some good... That's not what I was looking for. Some good raw materials. We've got iron, 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 copper, copper. Wait, horses? We're like on winter horses? Got horses over here. Lumber, burr. Boy, that's a lot of lumber. Who knew that the forests of Sweden and Finland had lots of lumber? God damn, it's a lot of lumber. Well, I know where I can get lumber now. And other than that, I mean, not that much. So Sweden does have some good stuff. I do believe, actually, now let me go back to it. I do believe, don't they have, there we go. Oh my God. Well, how much copper is that? 400% output. That's a lot of copper. Not built to full, though. RGO's not even good. Proximity's not even good. Well, we do have a road to it. Now, Sweden just needs to get more maritime. Ugh. All this stuff 0, 10. It's not good. How does Sweden get proximity up here to Finland? They already got the road. I'm not sure. You know, they just lose so much proximity each little bit of the way. Well, next stage, they can try to afford 900 gold paved roads. I'm sure that'll be easier. That takes us to... Actually, I want to look here. Yeah. Not much to talk about, actually. I mean, Sweden is just a slow country. Oh, they did manage to get 2,000 pretty good men-at-arms. I mean, these are fully drilled, too. So these guys could definitely beat the shit out of somebody. That takes us to... Wait, actually, I'm going to look at your things here. Sweden. Centralization's not too great. Innovativeness is fine. Spiritualist is not high up there. Aristocracy isn't great. Free subjects. So once prosperity starts decaying, yeah, our good pal Sweden will actually have some pretty decent prosperity. Actually, what did we go technologically here? Sweden. You got the city fund cost. Yeah, I mean, Sweden, that might be a pretty good idea. Got all the money stuff here. Yep. Swedish steel. Men-at-arms, cannon maker. I guess I did the same thing. Does that make sense to me? I did literally the same thing to cannon maker. Banking. Did you get Renaissance? Yes. Then you're gonna do, yep, that's good. Oh yeah, that's good too. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, you're pretty much taking a solid technological path. I don't really have any complaints here. This is, yeah, it's pretty solid. It's like 10 out of 10 right there. The other thing I would recommend, go bureaucracy. Grab the prosperity from decentralized bureaucracy. Just saying, that would be my only recommendation. But I mean, what you're doing right now is like 100% fine. That's like totally good. Yeah, no issues here, Sweden. Just slow country. Not a great start. Muscovy. Okay, so Muscovy was allowed to live. And unfortunately, being as they were allowed to live. Now, if they were 100 legitimacy, they would actually have 96 income. But they're not 100 legitimacy for now. Actually, that does make them look a bit weaker than they are. Muscovy. We are taxing our boyars. We're taxing everybody. Oh, they're just taxing everyone into the fucking ground. Well, I mean, that's what you're going to do. Except the clerics. They don't tax the clerics because they need that research. By the way, did you see my research? 1.94. Oh, yeah. You want to see Bohemia's? 1.77. Hungary? Look at that. 1.65. Poland? 1.6. Austria? 1.94. Oh, yeah. That's almost as good as the Lollard. I say that offensively. The Lollard. I'm saying that as if it was an offense to you, tornado. Muscovy has got, oh, look at that proximity. Oh, he's got so much control. Okay, look at these roads. Oh, actually, that's not that good of a road network. Yeah, they've done their best. I mean, Lithuania has a bigger road network. I think they've set up better, but they just didn't use their vassals very well. I think Lithuania is just stalling behind, and Muscovy has just gotten clear superiority. Now, Lithuania does have the better army right now. 12 armored horsemen, but problem is, Muscovy has 26,000 levies. Lithuania has 15,000. That's not a good match. Now, he does have the armored horsemen. Can the armored horsemen win? It's an age 1 men-at-arms against an age 2 peasant levy. They might be able to go even, but I'm not sure I'd put my money on it. If they fight in a flatland, then they can use the front line, because there's 30 front line. Muscovy, if they use their vassals, they would be able to get the front line filled, but actually without their vassals they would not be able to fill the front line, so his armored horsemen would actually be able to outnumber them slightly on the front line from that perspective. But other than that, I think Muscovy has every advantage here. The disadvantage of Muscovy is that they are 100% centralized, and they're going to start decentralizing. Now, they can obviously start bleeding away on that, meaning they can put a counselor on that, and then they can try to integrate as much as they can. They could give away these 2 vassals up here. They could just cancel the vassal status on that guy, probably on that guy as well, because I mean they have a total tax base of like 3 between them, so that's not terribly good, right? So he could give up those 3, that would be 0.9 reduced, so he'd be negative 0.24. Put a council position on it, he's only bleeding 0.04. He annexes these 2, he'll probably bleed down to like 95 centralization, but then he'll equalize it. So I would say this is manageable, but he'll probably be down to 95, maybe 90, maybe 85. Not as bad as Bohemia, but he's definitely going to bleed away at that centralization. Now, of course, the problem is, being that centralized with this many vassals, they're not big fans. They don't like the fella. Now, some of these dudes are going to remain loyal anyway, because he has a very high opinion of them, and he's more powerful than them, and he's spending a lot on diplomacy. But the second he stops paying for that diplomacy, like imagine he didn't have to pay for that diplomacy, didn't have to pay for this, like man, that would be a strong income. But now he's going to have to pay on that for the foreseeable future, but a cabinet on it. Technologically, Russia's also in a bit of a problem. I think he declared this war a bit... Well, I mean, he did happen to declare it at the exact right moment, because Lithuania decided to go and grant... They decided to get economic boosts before getting that heavy cav. Muscovy decided to sprint down for men-at-arms. So if the war does go on for a little bit, Muscovy could definitely build up their manpower and start chewing out men-at-arms. So I imagine Lithuania is going to take a piece, but if they don't, we might see worse things happen. Now, of course, Muscovy is probably going to try to get these lands in here just so Lithuania's not inserting himself into his ass. But yeah, realistically, it's a lot of dudes. I imagine Muscovy just wants this stuff to get him out. We'll see what happens. It might be a giant total war of death between all the various vassals of Eastern Europe. Might not be. As in Lithuania themselves, I think they just took too long to get going. We can see how broken vassals are, by the way. I did say I'd show it in the east. Bam! The Russians have eliminated all other cultures. The Muscovites are the only ones left. Yeah, that... Oof. Yeah, they've used their vassals, culture converted all of them to Muscovite, then uses them to, like, culture convert everybody else. Lithuania, despite being, like, Muscovy is actually centralized. Lithuania, We can see right here, they are decentralized like hell. They didn't use their vassals to culture convert or religion convert. In fact, I would say they're like 50 years behind in this. At this point, I don't think Lithuania can pull this back. I think this is just way too big of a mistake. Muscovy decided to use their vassals to convert everyone to their religion. They decided to use their vassals to convert everybody to their culture. The Muscovite culture is at 2.89 million pops. Oxtitan is at 559,000. In other words, Franchian is up to 2.25. Inglés is at 2.7. Wait, that means Muscovite is actually the biggest culture? No. No, they are. No, they are. They are the biggest culture. Not even Neapolitan with all their shitty vassals got ahead of them. That's wild. Yeah, Muscovy is actually so strong right now. They're all just one culture, one religion, united, pushing westwards. Where have I heard that from before? At any rate, the war doesn't look great. Lithuania stagnated too much. They did get the good lands of Kiev. A lot of this land is shit and just isn't really that strong. It's just the centralized superpower of Muscovy is just stronger than the weakened power of Lithuania. So not much to be said for that one. It depends on what Lithuania gets for like allies. Do they get Sweden? Do they not get Sweden? Do they get Poland? Is Poland too much in the shitter? You know, we'll see what happens. Okay, as for the Middle East. Okay, the Ottomans threw into Bulgaria, and there was a long, protracted war of doom. Unfortunately, nobody could push through the Hungarian Knights. Oh god, you could actually feel the lag. The Hungarian Knights were over here right now. They were way too strong and managed to completely stonewall. Look how cool they are. She was like, look how cool these models are. They managed to totally block the Ottomans from pushing in. It was just no good. And even though the Ottomans didn't lose land, they tilted really hard and spent most of the session not doing anything, to the best of my knowledge. Unfortunately, the Ottomans and Mamluks also had an issue where they didn't really understand. They didn't really understand what was going on, like with slaves. And as we can see right here, I'm not going to go too far into it, but there's a problem with slaves where when you produce your own slaves, you're not producing slaves. You're not producing slaves at all. Instead, what you're doing is you are producing the slave trade good. Then because the slave trade good is being produced out of an accepted pop, it can't produce a slave because that's an accepted pop. If anybody happens to be watching this video and wants to know how to fix that, go into every single area with a slave market and just turn it off. And I'm not joking, just turn off pretty much every slave market within your own country. They should only be on territory with non-accepted cultures. You can't, it's not even tolerated. It must be non-accepted. So the problem is the Ottomans are filling their own slave demand with the slave trade good. The slave trade good is used to move slave pops, but he can't create slave pops because every culture within his country is accepted. He needs to turn all those off. Then, after losing the war, you can see Bulgaria's at 389 tax base. He's at 238. Now, his actual income is quite good, but a lot of that's coming out of Constantinople. He seemed to tilt really hard after the Hungarian Knights pushed him out, and he kind of like retreated. Just sort of, yeah. So let me explain what he needs to do. Now, number one, he's got to get this area. I did see these RGOs up here. He needs to build these up. So we need to get a road. This area here is at 94 proximity. We need to get a road up to here, then we need to slap these down. Now, let me also explain this. The more RGOs you build, the more demand in your market there will be for slaves. markets around you, the AI, they will see that slave demand and they will build their own slave markets to fill it and ship their pops over to you. Because they're morons. Now, that does mean that as we build more RGOs, we will get more slaves. It's pretty easy, and this is why Islam is so OP compared to Christianity. It's pretty easy for every single Islamic country to get to at least 2,000 pop growth just through importing slaves and other means. All you really need to do, build roads, build RGOs. Now, when I keep saying build roads and RGOs, that's because some of you guys are relying on your good land to carry your country and not building up your country. It's frustrating for me because at a certain point, it's like I'm just repeating myself over and over again. But at another point, it's like build your country. So Ottomans can recover from this. It's definitely recoverable. They're getting a lot of sound toll tax. They don't have many expenses. The cost of court is quite low. They're still making good money. They could easily get this income to skyrocket. In like 5 years, they could get this income to skyrocket. All they need to do is turn off all their slave centers, start mashing out roads and RGOs. Their slave demand will skyrocket. All their Turkic beyliks will throw into them. Even some of these guys will throw into them. They have been slave raiding the Kingdom of Georgia. You can actually see that. They've been repeatedly slave raiding them and taking their pops, but they can also create their own pops. In fact, you can see they have 500,000. No, they have some Georgians. I think a lot of them converted. Anyway, that's all they need to do. Then you can build Janissary barracks, and even if they're not being filled, they will create slave demand, which will then make the AI one important to you. Now, what he did do pretty well here, he did set up some markets for his vassals. Now, he did, it's weird to me, his vassals have been like well taken care of and managed. And because his vassals are well taken care of and managed, they're actually giving him a lot of money. And then he's getting money from the sound toll. And then he's not too centralized either. In fact, he's not centralized at all. So he'll start going decentralized. So the reality of the situation is that the Ottomans are in quite a good position. He just needs to sort of stop tilting because he lost one war, bring himself back, start jamming down roads and RGOs. And in like 10 to 20 years, he would have this nation maybe not able to beat Hungary because Hungary is like, oh my God. But he would have this nation in a way that I think he would easily be able to overpower Bulgaria. As for Bulgaria, they've been doing their best. Unfortunately, they don't really have many armies. And yeah, we do see this brilliant river going right through here. They did not manage to survive through their own merit. They managed to survive through the Hungarian Knights. Now, you might be wondering then, what have the Bulgarians been focused on? The Bulgarians do what the Balkans do best. He lost militarily to the Ottomans, and then he tried to wipe out another culture. And he's been putting his efforts into removing Wallachian for Bulgarian. Okay. Other than that, we can see a pretty solid, lots of towns are coming out. Only one city thus far. The Ottomans haven't built cities either. The Ottomans, by the way, they could definitely do with more ships, do with more maritime. They have so much growth. The Ottomans could just keep growing at this point. There's no flaws here whatsoever. Their subjects are going to be a little bit disloyal, but as he decentralizes, that's pretty much just going to fix itself. So I wouldn't really worry about that at all. The Bulgarians, again, as I said last time, they moved their capital up north. And they've been doing pretty good on proximity. I mean, they got all this stuff under proximity following along this river right into the mountains over here. Pretty good stuff here. They don't quite have this land over here, but I believe he was trying to centralize. He's been trying to push centralization. It's going to be a bit rough now because he's got so many fiefdoms, but he could easily annex those. Naples isn't really under threat here. Like, they're just not under threat. That's because no one can really fight them. Not only are they using that really overpowered Western Schism, but no one, like the Ottomans in Bulgaria have been locked. In fact, Ottomans have outscaled Bulgaria and would dramatically outscale Bulgaria if they would just like calm down for 2 seconds and scale. But Bulgaria, their tax base is good, but they don't actually make as much money as the Ottomans. They don't have Constantinople. And overall, their country, I'm not really sure what's going on. The 1.45 tech progress is miserable. Muscovy is 1.69. If I look at the liturgical language, their power of the liturgical language is really bad. In fact, if we look here, Russian changed to Russian away from Church Slavic. Now, I don't understand why they would have done that other than to just screw over Bulgaria for fun. Can Bulgaria maybe go to Russian then and just like chase after them? No. Well, that's weird. Can they go back to Church Slavic then? I think I would do that, because if they do that, then it combines their liturgical power, and I think they would actually get, well, it's going to take a data update, but I think instead of a 0.01 and a 0.03, they would be 0.04. Technically, it's a little bit better, but I think that's what I would do. Church Slavonic. I don't know what that even is, Church Slavonic. But right now, they're not working with each other, and they kind of need to work with each other to get that liturgical language up to help Orthodoxy. Now, I will get over to Muslim in a second, because there's some wacky stuff going on. Other than that, I mean, yeah, anything. All these RGOs are pretty full. Everything, I would probably build that wheat, but I mean, everything's pretty much going fine. Anything worth anything. I mean, clay right here. How's roads going? Roads seem like they're, roads could be better. There's not a road. Oh wait, that's not his capital. Which one's your capital again? Which one is your capital again? That's his capital. Oh, no, okay, so roads are going pretty much fine. We could get some more roads up here, up here, up here. We could get some down to here. I mean, that's a livestock, which is fine. Dyes, grains. Up here we got legumes, lumber, livestock. I mean, these are still good trade goods. So, I mean, Bulgaria's got a lot of room to grow. For playing a nation that's not exactly that strong, they're doing pretty solid. And the Bulgarians aren't really that strong. There's not a whole lot they can do. Age 1, I mean, their Age 1 bonuses are fine. Their Age 2 bonuses are pretty mediocre. They do get that really good fort one, the Fortress of the Balkans. They get a lot of forts. But they don't get anything after Age 4. Their Age 3 is like pretty Then Age 4 is like I'm not sure what to say about that one. Yeah, there's not much more scaling for Bulgaria to do. They did about what they could. It's just one of the weaker nations in the game. I mean, it's about as strong as like Hesse and Württemberg, which is to say, they're fine. They got some decent stuff at the very least. They did what they could. Maybe they could do a bit better, but, again, it's like Ottomans on one side, Hungarians on the other side, and here they are. Okay, now let's talk about something. Why are the Ottomans getting 1.88 tech when I've been struggle-assing the whole game to get to 1.94? That's because the Mamluks. 2.34! What the fuck? Okay, let's actually explain what happened here. The liturgical language for the Mamluks is 0.2. That means all of Islam as a 0.2. Catholicism, on the other hand, is up to a mere 0.15. That's because the Mamluks somehow got like 10 Gortrillion priests. The Mamluks, I think, have more priests, imams, than France does. And France has more pops. They have so goddamn many that they made, like, holy shit, these goddamn tech progress. Additionally, Islam, instead of getting 5% literacy for only their clerics, has 5%. Oh, wait, they have 5% for their clergy. Then they also have the 5% max for everybody. Doo-doo! Then they also have another slider that they get for jurisprudence, which he has at 100%. Doo-doo! That is strong. God, that is strong. Their clergy is lovely. He gets research, efficiency at cabinet. I mean, his clergy are 107% satisfied. I mean, Jesus Christ. So you can see all these modifiers here. Jurisprudence, average literacy, embraced institutions, wave of innovation, clergy estate satisfaction. In fact, you can actually see up here as well, his innovative is also like really, really, really high. In fact, he could push that with his government right now and actually get that to a 0.8. Holy shit. Now, Mamluks, the last time I talked about Mamluks, I did recommend a few things to him, and he seems to have taken it to heart and learned. All of the Mamluks are a road. The entire fucking thing is a road. Additionally, he has built his RGOs. And look, I promise you guys, although, I mean, he could build more rice and more wheat, but, I mean, 22 tax base of cotton, sugar at 18 tax base. He could definitely build this food up 12 tax base of fiber crops. I mean, you could like, shoot that up right there. Cotton at 14 for that's a 22 tax base. That's a 16 tax base. You can get that up 3 more even. You can get that up more. That's a 20 tax base. Like you can make these rural areas with, you know, you can make these rural areas quite strong. The Mamluks make an pretty strong 189 income. Not quite as good as like Hungary, but Hungary is insane. The Hungarian player has played this game a lot. Like a lot. And yeah, so the Mamluks, they're coming back into the game now. The Mamluks didn't quite understand slaves, but we did figure it out with him. He can get that pop growth to about 3,000 by you know, shuffling around his slaves. He gets lots of slaves from down in the south as well. That's historical, by the way. And so he can get his pop growth up super high. He can start growing dudes out of trees. He can start filling everything, and he will end up being pretty good. Now, he's also beating down the Gelarids here. Now, he benefits immensely from this decentralization because he doesn't give a shit. He's been decentralized this whole time. He will benefit from it even more, and, well, he'll benefit from it even more. So it's kind of wild. He's got lots of RGOs to still build. He could just open up realistically, he can just open up the RGO builder and be like, bam. And he can just slap them down. Although, I mean, I like to micro my RGOs, but, you know, if you want to just spam them down, you can do that. And that's a very easy button you can click, and that's a very easy button you can use. Personally, I micro them a bit more, but you can do stuff. Now, he's even gotten roads across the desert. We've got plans. I believe he has plans for maritime. Yeah, you can get a natural harbor here, I think. What's that one at? 0.4, you get a harbor there, and then you can shoot down control all along here. I mean, these are big sea tiles. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So like here to here would be the same distance as Naples to Greece. I mean, just to keep that in perspective to everybody. So he can definitely get a good bit of control down here, shooting it down from here. He can put it here if he wants as well, if he wants a bit further. I don't know. I don't think it would be as good, though. Let's see. He does have a vassal with gold. That should be you. You should own that gold. You should own that gold. But basically, all he needs to do is get his slaves worked out. I did have a good strategy to get slaves over from here, Benghazi. He could get the, what are those dudes? The Libyans. He can import Libyan slaves. He has a lot of Coptics in here still. Yeah. Well, here we got Bedouins. So he's got a lot to work on, a lot to improve. Now that we understand slaves, I think he'll be a lot more powerful as well. So I do expect to see the Mamluks build out a big navy. I do expect to see them get control. I think they'll try to get control here first. The Mamluks did back up the Ottomans. Currently, they're a bit weaker than the Hungarians, but I think that gap will close over time. And they should, I mean, I think the gap will close over time. And then the Ottomans are stronger than Bulgaria. Now, will Mamluks Ottomans beat Bulgaria, Hungary? Over time, I expect so. As of right now, probably not. Those Hungarian knights are crazy. Georgia's dead. I mean, they're not literally dead, but they're getting slave raided to death. Nobody even wanted to play them after they got slave raided. And so, yeah. Ormus is I mean, they're dead. Yemen! How's Yemen doing? How's our good pal Yemen doing? Okay, so after they killed Ethiopia, they've sat here and managed their domain. What's your income at anyway? 71. Oof, that's not good. So Yemen gets almost no pop growth due to the fact that the devs start them at pop cap, which is a bit of a dick move. Not sure why they do that. They would have to get a lot of their stuff into towns to try to open up some pops. They would have to get the stuff into cities. If they started city spamming the coast, I think it would be about all they could do. Even though you might argue that they don't want to, because a lot of this is fish. Like, at the end of the day, I think they need to start city and town spamming everything just to get their pop cap up. Because half this stuff is just straight pop capped, and then it's just not helping them. Other than that, they did manage to beat Ethiopia. They are trying to get some money, but frankly, it's a bit of a doomed situation. They're stronger than Ethiopia, but they're not strong enough to really do much else. And they're kind of just sitting here. Now, the Mamluks did do a funny little thing. I will say this for the Mamluks. The Mamluks looked down at the world and they said, go fuck yourself. What does that mean? They blocked everybody from getting the institutions. This is 1409. The Ottomans blocked everybody. They said, fuck you. And I do suspect this is why some of the Asian players quit. You ever literally make people rage quit because you blocked them from institutions? So that happened. And that's funny. I have nothing to say about that. That's just actually legitimately funny. Yeah, I mean, I have nothing I can really comment on Yemen because their starting setup is kind of rough. Kind of really rough. I don't think the devs really gave him a fair shake, is what I'm saying. Okay, Timmies. Okay, as we were talking about last time we went through here, the Timurids turned into a horde, or sorry, turned out of a horde into a regular country. This had the horrible, horrible, horrible downside that they lost access to all their manpower. And this meant that their push westward completely stalled. They disbanded most of their horse archers to save money, and they've gotten their nation under control financially. We're now up to making 100 gold. Does this mean they'll be able to push westward and smash the Ottomans? Nah, they won't be able to. The Ottomans are outscaling them. The Mamluks are outscaling them. Timurid's conquests aren't going so hot. He's also about to lose most of his decentralization. He could sit a dude on it all game, but like, what's even the point? He needs to work on vassals from a territory like this. His capital is still Samarkand, which cannot get control anywhere. Realistically, he would have to probably move his capital over to here to get anything out of it. And I'm not sure that's actually a great idea. The tax base right now is 344, which is pretty miserable, to be honest. I'm not really sure what he can do at this point. I think his best bet is to move his capital over to here, maybe to Hamadan. I don't know. Maybe that would work better. Maybe like over here to Isfahan. Then he could try to control this area. He could try to do a really good Persian impression by being on Isfahan. That could hypothetically work. I mean, there's definitely lots of dead cities around here. I'm saying dead because they're like depopulated from, well, you know, Mongols. But he could move over here and then he could try to like take these cities. It's really rough to say because he's just in a tough position. It's going to take a lot of money is what I'm saying. And I'm not sure he's got the time to do that. He definitely shouldn't have gone out of a horde. I think that leaving being a horde was a bit more painful than he was ready for. And he doesn't have the institutions either. He's almost as dumb as Russia. So, yeah. Okay, that's all I got to say about the Timurids. Then we gotta go, of course, to everybody's favorite, the Hausa Empire. Now, why did I mention nobody can see Hausa? Because Hausa lined up all their tribal cavalry, and this is very funny to me, and he's actually, right at the end of this session, where do you think his armies are? Yes. Yes, they are. And this kind of sucks, by the way, that we paused here, because Hausa lined up their armies, is in stealth, has all their tribal cavalry, and the Genoa player, oh, this sucks, by the way, because this would have been so funny. The Genoa player had their armies out of coordination. They were just sieging. They don't see anything, and they're about to be jackhammered. If you play through at this exact moment, they will be slaughtered to a man. They will literally all die to the Great Hausa Empire and their tribal cavalry ambush. However, with the catastrophic overbuffs that regulars have gotten in patch 8, and him being able to fix his flanks, he actually manages to win this battle, which sucks. I'm not a fan of that one. Hausa can't fight the Europeans right now. From his perspective, from the perspective of Hausa, he's fighting a bunch of foreign shitters who are coming out of the great unknown to invade their just and glorious land. Which is, kind of funny, because when we look at it from the other perspective, Genoa's like, who the fuck is that? So, Hausa did vassalize Tunis. They did vassalize Morocco. And the intent here was that, of course, that Tunis and Morocco would be defended by Hausa. But Hausa doesn't have, unfortunately, the institutions yet. They did everything they could, but they're in Africa, there's only so much they can do. And without the institutions, it means they can't get a standing army. And with the buffs in patch 8, by the way, in patch 7, regulars are overpowered. In patch 8, they're like, holy shit. The devs need to revert all these buffs they're doing. Like, they need to tone this down. But at any rate, yeah, basically, there's no way they can get the institution in time. So what's likely going to happen is Tunis is going to die. Had we not paused to end the session on this horribly inconvenient time, he would actually have been able to wipe out one of the Italian stacks. And that would have been funny as shit. I mean, look at these dudes. These dudes are bad. Look at these dudes on the ambush. It's badass as shit. I love their models, right? But now they'll actually lose the battle, which seems absurd when you look at the numbers, but what are you going to do? Tribal cavalry also doesn't upgrade in each age, which is another thing I kind of have a problem with. Now, of course, Hausa Empire did start as a Kingdom Empire over here. Then I think they formed Hausa Empire here. Then they took Mali and became Mali over here. Their proximity over here is not bad. I do believe, did they get roads? Yeah, they've been trying to get road networks out here and combine all of this. This guy over here definitely needs to get in them. They have this guy over here that definitely needs to get in them as well. And they're going to continue to scale from now on. And they've got a lot of pops. The only problem is all these pops are not Hausan, and they're not accepted, and they're not anything. They do have a shitload of accepted pops due to being an empire. They also have the cultural acceptance, the domain of many tongues, the pact of Umar. They got all this stuff helping them out, right? But I would say fundamentally, they just don't have enough. Now, there was a complaint here that they couldn't form Mali as well. That kind of sucked. They wanted to form Mali, but that apparently is disabled by the tooltips are wrong, and that is not allowed. So that about sucks too. Overall, they're playing pretty heavily into the decentralized economy. Their economy's not doing too great right now, though, due to all these expenses. I mean, diplomacy. Oh, because they're giving economic support to Morocco and Tunis to pay them back. Because Morocco and Tunis pay them, then they pay them back. Obviously, I think maybe we stop paying to Tunis, and then we save that money. They went heavy into the decentralized mini game. They will push 100 decentralized. Once they do that, all their vassals will go loyal. These guys are going to be loyal forever. This is the Great Hausa Empire with 38 vassals. Unfortunately, again, patch 8 keeps nerfing them. They keep nerfing levies over and over and over. And now there's just not a whole lot that, unfortunately, the tribal cavalry can do. Even though tribal cavalry was actually kind of weirdly effective. It actually didn't do too poorly. You can't even upgrade it in age 2, so that kind of sucks. Let's think here. Yeah, not much. I mean, they play a well-managed country. I think they're realistically one of the best people at managing countries we have. They also benefit from Giga Mamluks technology. So despite being in Africa and not really having the most clergy synergy and all that, do they tax their clergy? No, they do not. No, they do not. Now, why is that? They like have everything in the world to make their clergy happy. Promote tolerance. Abrahamic communities. Access to royal extradition cards. No censorship. Why are they not censoring people? That's weird. Allow slave religion. Are they trying to go humanist? Wait. Yeah, they're humanist. Oh my god, they're humanist. I've never seen anyone get humanist before. That's wild. So I guess they're trying to culture convert people. Well, we got integrating over here. Stabilizing country. I mean, you're going humanist, but you're not actually humanizing. Well, I mean, we can see people are being culture converted here at least. But, I mean, there's only 11% of the pop are Hausa. The other issue here... Oh my god, I should show you something over here. The discipline of Hausa... It's currently not great due to the nobility not being accepted. I need to show you one last thing about the Mamluks that's kind of terrifying. They have 24% discipline. They have an outrageous amount of nobility. And the royal Mamluks. And their Mamluk law. They're practically a very hard AI compared to players. If we do look at the Ottomans over here, they have 21 discipline. So, unfortunately for poor Bulgaria here, he's got 12 discipline. The Hungarians do have 8.99 discipline. If the Mamluks build up and the Ottomans build up, I'm going to throw it to them. And the thing is, the Mamluks just want a slave raid. Because slave raiding for them is highly efficient. Highly great. Really likable. So I do think that the Mamluks slave raids are going to go great. They're going to love it. So a lot of people need to look out for that one. Now, as for the rest of the world, the Chinese players that did not rage quit are, this might shock you, Korea, who's trying to push all the way into the New World. He did get China for free. Majapahit is still in the game. They're learning. I think they're a bit of a new player. They're colonizing. They're just having fun. They're doing their own thing. It's fine. I don't even remember if Vijayanagara is still in the game. It takes a while. I have to imagine that if they actually combine their army before war, that's a player, because only a player would do that. Oh my god, look how many dudes that is. Is that an elephant? They get an elephant? I want an elephant. Damn, that's badass. Look at that. It's like a armored war elephant and everything. Shit. That's a cool elephant. I think that's about it. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. So, you made it through this whole video. Where are we going next? The Great Mamluks Ottomans rematch against Bulgaria, Hungary. The slaughter of the Africans by the Italian Hugbox. Castile playing the game. England trying to figure out what to do when no one else actually seems to be interested in building a naval army to fight them. Naval Navy? The Castile has much better boats, but they just don't build them, which is weird. France is also not building a navy, which is also a bit weird. And then the HRE. The HRE is a powder keg, but nobody's killed each other yet. I'm trying to stay alive. Poland, Lithuania, Russia, Sweden, lots of stuff going on in the east. Let's see what happens there. Timurid's fizzled. So I think that's going to be the primary conflicts. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, everybody. And as always, I hope all of you have a great rest of your day. Please make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment because all those things help me. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.